Well, it's been a while without any videos, so I'm gonna delve right into it. If you read the title of this video, it is not clickbait. I am really on the verge of losing my business due to the supply chain shortages. I don't really care about this video getting a lot of views or not. I'm just want to warn the people that might be in the trucking industry or even other businesses, because these supply chain issues are happening all across the board, not just to trucking companies. But in my particular instance, it's affecting my trucking business, and I haven't been able to get the parts to keep my vehicles on the road. So I know it's been a while for my regular subscribers. I know it's been a while since I've made any videos. I apologize for that. I've had some issues with my phone and it running out of storage for some reason, even though when I go to settings it says it still has plenty of room available. But I think I got it figured out now, so hopefully I will be able to post some more videos again, and hopefully this won't be the last trucking video. So yeah, here's what happened. I actually, since switching from hotshot to a semi, I've been doing pretty well. I know there were some slowdowns when I had to retake my CDL test when I got that restriction on it. I actually did use this semi for a little bit with the gooseneck trailer behind it, and as of right now I'm completely done with hotshot. I actually sold my hotshot truck as well as my hotshot trailer. So that's not something I can go back to, at least relatively, nor do I have any intentions of doing so. The last month before the breakdown, so to say, things went really well. I made twice as much money in that month as I did during my best month in hotshot trucking out of the about 2 years that I've been doing it. So I will be making some more comparison videos about hotshot versus semi, but I really want to touch on the supply chain issues right now. This is what this video is going to be about. But for those that are wondering, you know, you're thinking about upgrading or whatever, I think it's definitely worth it. Definitely try and get your CDL right now if you're thinking about that, because starting next year, I think February next year maybe, but sometime next year, all states are going to be required for people wanting to get a CDL. The people are going to have to go through a CDL school. In some states that's already the case, but starting sometime next year, there will be a new federal regulation going into effect, so it will be for all states. So you can't do what I just did and pay $100 and take the CDL test on your own. So if you're thinking about it, right now is definitely the time to get your CDL, although I would not advise to go out and buy a bunch of equipment and switch over right now, and that is mostly due to the supply chain issues. So if you have reliable equipment right now that you can depend on, keep doing what you're doing. If you're thinking about getting into the trucking industry or into hotshot, I would definitely hold off right now, especially if you have a steady job, or I mean, if you don't, right now everyone is hiring, so I don't know why you shouldn't be able to get a good job right now, but that's another point. But yeah, I wouldn't jump into it right now, and that is mainly due to the supply chain issues and shortages on parts availability. And it's not just affecting the trucking industry too. I know there's many other industries that are being affected by this, as well as staffing issues. A lot of truck stops I go by. Just the other day I was in South Dakota, and the subway at the Flying J there was closed, and they had signs up saying, "Sorry, we're closed, we don't have anyone to staff this location." And I'm seeing that all across the country right now, the staffing issues. And other times I'm stopping at restaurants and stuff, and they're either really low on supplies or they're out of supplies. There was another Subway I stopped at and they were completely out of meat, and there was an Arby's I stopped at and they were out of burgers. They basically only had fries and milkshakes left. So I'm seeing these shortages all across the board, and it only seems to be getting worse right now. But what happened to me is I had a load on my trailer, and was actually pretty close to a delivery. And I remember driving along and kind of hearing a thump, like maybe I drove over a rock or something. And I didn't notice anything other than that. I was on a smaller road. There's no way to pull over or anything, and didn't look or sound like anything bad happened. So I kept on driving to a rest area. I was getting towards the end of the day, and when I did a walk around after that, I didn't notice anything, didn't see any leaks, nothing. But the next morning, I was doing my pre-trip and still didn't notice anything until I actually started driving the truck forward, and I tried to apply my trailer brakes just by themselves to see if they were working. Something I always do during my pre-trip. And I actually hadn't noticed any reduction in power the day before, but when I applied the trailer brakes, nothing happened. So that was kind of weird. So I tried it again, still nothing happened. I was like, okay. I backed back into my parking spot, and I crawled underneath the trailer, and it actually took me a little while to figure out what was going on. I did notice that one of my brake lines had bursted open, so obviously I'd lost my brake fluid. My trailer has electric over hydraulic brakes. It's not a typical semi-trailer, it's kind of a lighter duty setup. Works well with my single axle semi, and it was a lot more economical for me to get started that way. But yeah, so in case you're wondering about why it has hydraulic brakes, so I noticed that busted hose, and then I investigated a little more and actually found out the whole caliper was gone. So what had happened, the caliper is held in by two brackets, one on the top and one off the bottom, and the top bracket was actually missing. I did pay a shop to replace all of my brakes. They put all new calipers, brake pads, everything, brake controller. They pretty much redid the whole brake system a couple months before this happened, or maybe only about a month and a half, I think, before this happened. So I'm thinking they might have not tightened one of those brackets all the way, or maybe even forgot to put it on, and the caliper slowly walked its way out of there, and it just fell off at some point. And yeah, unfortunately I haven't been able to get the brake caliper since, and it's been 7 weeks now. So I did call them immediately once I found out that happened. Since I did just get these replaced at the shop, I figured they would still have the part numbers and everything, and they can just order me one. So I called them up right away, and they looked it up in their system, and sure enough, they still had the paperwork with all the part numbers on it and everything. So I was like, okay, great, just let me know when they're in, and I'll stop by and drop the trailer off. So basically I had to deliver that load I still had on there. I was pretty close to delivery, so I did that, and after that I went back home, and the trailer has been parked since for 7 weeks now. After the first week, I called them back again to see how they were doing, if they were able to get the part in. They would have to order both the caliper plus the brake pads and a brake hose, and possibly also the brake actuator, like the pump that's in there, that when it gets the electric voltage input, then it turns on the pump for the hydraulic brakes on the trailer. So since it ran out of brake fluid, that's something they might have to order too, or maybe not. I still don't know yet, because the parts haven't even came in yet. But I basically just kept calling them week after week. Another week went by, another week went by. Eventually they told me the supplier they normally go through did not have any in stock, and they couldn't get them. So they said to be just as fast. They literally told the shop that you'd be better off just going directly to the manufacturer and try and order it from them instead of going through us. So that's what they did. They went directly to the manufacturer and ordered it from them. And it sounds like eventually, after about 4 weeks, they did finally ship or maybe 5 weeks I think, but at this point they did finally ship the brake caliper. Didn't get there till week 6 I think, and then I called, and the trailer shop was short staffed. A bunch of people had this the sickness that is going around right now I think, and they were short on they were already short on staff, and now there were even a bunch more people out. So basically another week went by without them even doing anything to it, and now we're into the 7th week, and I just called them earlier today before making this video, and it sounded like they did get the caliper in, but it came with the wrong brake pads. So, and I also don't think it came with a bracket, so yeah, so I still got to get the brake pads and a bracket, and possibly the hydraulic actuator, with who knows how much longer it's going to take to get all that and get that fixed. I hope in a couple weeks I'll get the trailer back, but I mean at this point who knows, it's been over 7 weeks, and yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I was really counting on making a lot of money these last 2 months, because I'm about to move and I'm about to get married, and both of those things cost a lot of extra money. So I was really trying to save up money right now, and obviously that didn't happen, so it's putting me in a really tough spot, and I don't know how long I can keep doing this if I just have to keep waiting on the trailer. Since I actually did so well that month before, I did buy another semi right after that month that went so well, and right now I have the single axle semi, but this one is just a regular twin screw semi, so I'd be able to haul a lot more weight with that. So I went through all the licensing and everything, and by the time I was about 4.5 weeks in, I actually got my license plate for the new semi, and my IFTA decal, and all the other stuff that I needed, except for the ELD. That one didn't come in yet, but you're allowed to use paper locks for up to 2 weeks, so that's what I did, and I just did 2 power only loads. Unfortunately there's not as many power only loads, and it's kind of hard to make it work, because I did have to be in at certain places at certain times, so it was kind of hard to work around that. But I did just do 2 drive-in loads power only with the new semi, and then I had some issues with that semi as well. I actually ended up having to replace a belt tensioner and new belt, because the belt started slipping. Thankfully they had both those parts in stock at the Love's Truck Stop where I was at, but I also noticed that it was burning through some antifreeze, through some coolant. So I think, or I'm pretty sure that the DPF, or not the DPF, but the EGR cooler is leaking some coolant, and it's going into the exhaust and burning off that way. But thankfully I just finished my 2nd power only load. There was one I did from Washington to Arkansas, then I actually had to deadhead all the way to Indiana. I had to find something going back to Washington, because I did have to be back in Washington at this by a certain time, and that's really the only thing I could find. So yeah, didn't make all that much on it. It was kind of cool just to try out some power only loads, and maybe I'll do another video on that at some later time, because I might be doing some more, as it doesn't look like I'll get my trailer back anytime soon yet. I think it's gonna be at least another week or 2 before I would get my trailer back. So maybe that will be my next video, but hopefully those will go better. And plus now I have to replace that EGR cooler, which is a pretty expensive part, and they only have limited inventory for those as well. I think I can get one, but I'm kind of it's pretty expensive, so I'm trying to decide right now if I even want to order it or not, or hope that my trailer is going to be done by the end of the week or so, or early next week. Yeah, just kind of trying to decide what to do, because those EGR coolers are not cheap. I could probably install it myself to save some money, but still it's going to be a big expense, and I just went without a paycheck for 7 weeks basically, except for these 2 power only loads. But with the repairs and everything that I had to do, it's basically a break even at this point. Yeah, as far as the supply chain shortages, it really seems to only be getting worse. I'm hearing other people in the trucking industry are having similar issues. Obviously, if you're a bigger company, it's not as big of a deal. If you have 5 trucks and you have to park one, that is what it is. But at least you can still keep the other trucks on the road. For me, I do have 2 trucks right now, but I only have 1 trailer which is in the shop. So yeah, and I'm seeing similar things happening all across. There's people in the hotshot business with brand new trucks that are having issues, and they need some kind of emissions equipment replaced on it, or some kind of computer chip replaced on it, and they're having to wait several months in some cases just before they can actually get their truck fixed again. So it's getting pretty serious. I hope this can be as a warning to everyone. Like my advice, I mean, you do whatever you want, but my advice would be not to jump into this industry right now if you're thinking of just getting started. Just too much uncertainty going on, and it's getting too hard to get parts. I'm even hearing from other guys that are having a hard time getting simple things as oil filters and just really simple stuff to keep your truck on the road, and then people are having a hard time finding it. One of my friends works at an international dealer, and I know him pretty well, and we're kind of both on the same page. And actually I've used this shop a few times to work on my semi, which has been really cool. But he's telling me he mostly works on tractors, but also occasionally some semis and other agricultural vehicles and farm equipment and stuff. And he's telling me he is having a hard time getting supplies in a lot of cases, or when he can get them, it's taken a long time to get them. So it's definitely happening everywhere. And if you look at events going on in the world right now, maybe possibility of even more lockdowns, and just like look at container ships that are starting to stack up. Just creating this huge bottleneck issue. Like there's so many container ships sitting out in the ocean, just anchored, waiting to get unloaded. Especially in Los Angeles, normally there's maybe like 1 or 2 waiting. Now I think it's over 100 that are waiting just in Los Angeles, and this stuff is happening all around the world. And then they're so short on containers on the other end in China and wherever they ship this stuff from, mostly China, and that a lot of the containers are actually going back empty. And yeah, it's just a big mess going on in the supply chain right now. And I think it's not going to be too much longer until we're going to start to see this with basic items that everyone needs, like groceries at the grocery store, hygiene items, clothing, anything you can think of, really. It's getting so bad right now that I don't think it's gonna get any better soon. And the more this stuff starts stacking up, it's like the bottleneck effect. Like everything has to go through that small area, so to say, where it's being held up, and it's just getting worse and worse. So yeah, let us be a warning to everyone. If you are in the trucking industry, get a few extra parts that that you normally frequently have to replace. Definitely things like oil filters or even engine oil. I've even heard of some people that were having a hard time finding engine oil. I haven't yet personally. I did order some extra oil filters myself too. But yeah, just stock up on items you think you're going to need, and not just truck parts. Like, try and stock up on food, stock up on essentials. If you look at what's going on the road right now, all the tensions, talks about possible wars. I think we're actually really already are in a trading war, especially when you look at all these cyber attacks and everything that's going on. I think there's a lot more that very few people are talking about, or that they simply don't want people to know about, because if more people wake up to what's really going on, and they might panic, and then people start overbuying, and then the collapse is just going to be a lot sooner than it would be otherwise. So, but if you watch this, at least you'll have that information. I would really urge everyone to get prepared, get your house in order, do whatever you can. Definitely stock up on essentials, and yeah, hopefully this is helpful to some, and I'll try and do another video soon, hopefully, or at least as soon as I hear an update on my trailer parts. I really hope that I can get my trailer back soon, and if not, I'll have to figure out something else to try and get my other semi fixed right now. Yeah, just very tight financially right now, so but hopefully I can pull through this, and at least keep on the road a little bit longer. So thanks for watching, guys. If you're not subscribed yet and want to help me out, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, share this with someone else that you that's maybe in the trucking industry or transportation industry, and make sure people know what's going on and prepare themselves, so hopefully they won't be in the same boat as I am right now. Thanks for watching. God bless.